Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have the one, the only, the inimitable Aaron James Yager on the show. Do me a favor if you would and share this out to everybody that you know. Let's hear what this dude is all about. He's got some exciting things happening and I think he likes to help people. So stay with us, share this out, and we'll see you in just a second. And we are back. Let me bring Aaron on right now. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. That was a very cool intro video. Had some of my favorites on there, some of the greats. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for the warm welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I've man, it's been a crazy 6 years. It's been almost exactly 6 years since I started this show, and honestly, I was 49, I think. Um, no, 50 years old. Nonetheless, I was like, I was going through some stuff and I needed a breakthrough on my own. And I knew from reading Think and Grow Rich and other material that if I heard enough other people tell how they got through the stuff in life, then I would be able to get through it myself. And it worked out really well. So, I always like to start with you telling the audience where it all started for you. Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. So
Okay.
East Coast, small state. Yep, very, very tiny state. In fact, I think it's one of the smallest states in the country.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I got started. In fact, a lot of my growing up was DuPont Country Club. I remember hanging out there when I was a kid, doing Easter egg hunts, learning to play golf because my grandfather and I come from an agricultural family, so that was a big part of my experience growing up.
Wow. So there's agriculture in Delaware?
Yeah, well, Delaware was founded over there, right? But they were more known as like gunpowder over there and the other chemical companies, but. My dad, who met through my grandfather, we'll get to that stuff later. Then we moved to Fresno, California. So from East Coast on that side, all the way across country to Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
They have more agriculture out there.
what's that?
They have way more agricultural out there, right? A lot of
Yeah.
farm.
It's interesting that that's literally like I think just about as far as you can go from one end of the country to the other.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was a big change. That was a big change.
yeah, it's pretty significant. So talk about when you I guess where did you graduate from high school, or where'd you end up going to high school?
So we ended up moving when I was pretty young, 5 or 6, to Fresno, and I went to Fresno State,
Okay.
CSU Fresno. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. And then from there, where'd you end up? So you went to college at Fresno State,
I did. I did.
and you went to where?
Well, I didn't finish college. So I came from a family of PhDs. My uncle was a PhD, my mom's brother, my dad was a PhD, and my grandfather, Gideon D. Hill Jr., were all PhDs. So I came from a family of finish college, go about that way.
Yeah.
I did not. I went the entrepreneurial route. And when I got to college, I ended up joining their entrepreneurship program, which was really powerful and really
Okay.
fun. And there was a new program back then at the business school. And that entrepreneurial, mindset caught me. And when I noticed that I was doing some, like in the first few years of college, I was like, I'm just kind of repeating high school here. Like I already have a business. I'm out there making money. Like I want to be focused on that. So
Yeah.
I did have a big conversation with my parents and said, no, I'll go back. 100% I'll go back. And I did not. It's
Right.
okay. It's It's okay.
Hey, you made it further than me. I didn't even graduate high school, so
There you go.
um, I was like, "This is ridiculous." I remember asking a teacher, like, because back then we used books. Now they don't. I have a 14-year-old daughter in high school, and I'm like, "Where's your books?" Like, they don't use them.
Good.
But
Yeah.
I remember asking a teacher, like, "Okay, you're teaching out of this book that somebody else wrote. Where did those thoughts that the writer of that book originate?" And the teacher couldn't answer that, so I'm like, "This is stupid. What am I doing here?"
Yep.
I
Totally
just
agree. Very,
I
very
c-
unique.
I couldn't I just I've always been like that. Like, what, where are you getting your information from? Like, if it's not
You're a
real life
questioner. You were questioning
experience.
things.
What's
Yeah, most
that?
people just go along. You were questioning things. You were willing to ask
Everything.
the questions that other people wouldn't, right?
Yep.
Set you
Yep.
apart.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So talk about so you didn't finish college. What happened after that?
Well, if I
And
could,
this
I
is
would.
in Fresno still, right?
Yeah, I'm still in Fresno at this
Okay.
point. So
Okay.
part of the reason, if you don't mind, like rewind a little bit to give you a little
Sure.
bit of like a snapshot of why what got me to that point.
Sure.
And my grandfather, who I mentioned earlier, is my mom's dad, Gideon D. Hill Jr. Awesome name, right? Like very very cool. You don't hear many
Yeah.
Gideon these days.
Yeah.
So when I was about 9.5 years old, I had this burning desire for a cool stereo. It was one of those boom boxes. I don't know if do you ever remember the Crutchfield magazine? Like a Sears
No. I'll
catalog, but it
hold
was
it. Yes,
all
I think so, maybe, yeah.
yeah. They used to there was a big East Coast thing, I think more so, but it's like
Yeah.
imagine like a Sears catalog where all the cool products are in there. Well,
Yeah.
I'd always loved technology and pushing buttons, and I loved music. So I wanted this really cool stereo system. It had a CD player, the double deck, so you could record, dub tapes, and this
Yep.
detachable speakers and all that. So I was like, I was so excited for this. So if I went to my mom and my dad, I know that I'd be put to work doing chores and all that. But if I put a little childhood persuasion to work, I could go see if Mimi and Pop Pop, my grandparents, would get me the stereo. So I go
Mm,
over to their house and I bring the magazine and I have it all highlighted and I have all like the details, like why I want to get it, why this one specifically. Well, I sat down with my grandfather, full white hair, just sat on one of his leather chairs, and I'm kind of presenting him why he should buy this for me. And what he did was he reflected in his mind before he said yes or no or anything. He reflected back to a time 2 weeks previous where just I had been outside playing around in the yard. I came in and he was working in his office. Now his office had one of those beautiful, like all the walls, floor to ceiling, mahogany bookshelves, like tons of books, videos. He
right.
was a huge customer of Nightingale Conant. You remember those days when
Oh,
had the
yeah.
audio
Yeah.
programs.
My
He was
my
in there.
buddy Mark Victor Hansen actually had a lot of audio programs with them.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
he had my grandfather had those. So
Yeah.
there's all these kind of materials, encyclopedias, all that. And I
Yeah.
came in, I don't know what I was doing beforehand. I came in, I said, Pop up, why do you have all these books? Why do you have all these? And some of them are the same. And I'm just kind of walking around while he's cleaning and doing things. And he saw a moment. He had a defining moment, an idea. He went and pulled off different books or audio programs and we laid them all out. And if you can imagine in your mind's eye, a grandfather, white haired, full of wisdom, he was like 6'5", big man, and this little redheaded, curious kid sitting on a couch and a table there with all these books open. He spent an hour and a half to 2 hours with me, which for a 9-year-old, that's a pretty good amount of
Yeah.
time to be focused.
Yeah.
But what he did was take time to just look into my curiosity and help me understand. Look, I read books to become more successful, better at my job, make more money, do these things, be more creative, help create better products for people, be a better dad, all of this. So fast forward again to when I was asking him for my stereo 2 weeks back. He said, "Okay, I'm going to make you a deal." It's like, Aaron, I'm gonna buy you a stereo like that or better if you work with me on a little program. And he challenged me. He said, "I dare you." He said, "I dare you to read an audio or read a book, listen to one of the audio tapes I give you, or watch one of the videos out of my library that I give you. And if you do that for 30 to 45 minutes a day, and then write down just 2 paragraphs about what you learned that day, at the end of the week, we will sit there and talk about what you learned and reflect on it." And in my head, all I heard was yes, right? But
Right.
he
Yeah.
said, but you're going to do it for a year.
Right.
So I don't have a concept of time at that age, but
Right.
I just heard yes. So we shook hands, and that was the day that started my self-development journey behind the scenes, besides school, besides sports, besides friends. Like my 30 to 45 minutes was my daily dedication to myself. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking the early books. I don't know if you ever heard of the I Dare You book by William Danforth, the early Psychology of Winning by Dennis Waitley,
Yep.
Tony Robbins' book, Napoleon Hill, like all of these
Yeah.
unique books, like he would give me as a mentor to start reading. Now, did I necessarily understand everything I was reading? No, it's okay because it was going in my unconscious mind, right?
Right.
It was just the exposure to it, the absorption of that. And my mom and dad were really great. Like there were some days that I wanted to go play or go do something else. They're like, did you do your 30 minutes today? I was like, no. Okay, I'll go do it. So they were good about discipline, but I genuinely enjoyed this process because I knew that every time I did it, I was getting closer to my burning desire, that stereo.
Yep.
And so that's what my grandfather gave me. What a beautiful gift that he did for me. And so that took me on a self-development journey to become an entrepreneur earlier and start my
Yeah.
own businesses and start failing and start learning and start doing all that early on. That's why college just didn't make sense to me. It didn't,
Right.
I
Yeah.
was already doing things that my friends, most people just weren't doing and earning money at an earlier age. And it's like, well, I want to go do this more because I feel like I'm really accomplishing. So I just wanted to share that story.
That's, you know what? That's an awesome story. And it's a much better story than mine. Cause I got into sales pretty soon after after I left high school in my senior year, and realized I had no freaking clue what I was doing. And that's what it was. Um it was the pain that made me go, oh gosh. And then somebody recommended a Zig Ziglar book. And what's crazy is I'm now friends with all of Zig's kids. They live here in Dallas. I've had Brian Tracy, who changed my life. He was on the show. Like, it's just insane. So my wife's on here watching. She says, how was the stereo?
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah. I did that to finish the story. Thank you, Joe. The
Yeah.
stereo was great. I got the stereo that I wanted, and I was so happy when it arrived that day. And I remember waiting every single day for that package. Back then they didn't have like the full tracking. You just kind of had to
Yeah.
wait
Right. Yeah.
when it
Pray
was
that
going to
it
come.
got there.
I was so excited. I kept it pristinely clean all the time. It got to enjoy it. It was just made the journey of what I did that much more worthy, and the stereo was awesome.
Yeah.
So I had that for a long time and used it. So it was a
Yeah.
JVC. It was a JVC. I remember that. So thank you for that.
Wow.
But I
Yeah.
hit it. But I got it. And then I didn't stop. So when here's the nostalgic part is that when you introduced the show, you're seeing all these people's names. Like
Yeah.
I was a kid and I was listening to Brian Tracy. I was listening to all these people on there
Yeah.
and learning at that time. So they changed my life too. And my
Yeah.
grandfather was that catalyst to doing that, which any grandparent or parent can do.
What a wise grandfather you had.
I did.
I mean, seriously, that's a gift that look, 99.99999% of the world doesn't receive. And that's sad,
Oh yeah.
actually.
And I'm so blessed. I'm so
You
blessed to have
are.
received that. And
Yeah.
the more I share this story, in fact, it's going to be coming out in a book that I'm writing. I've helped. Before my grandfather passed 10 years ago, I interviewed my grandfather, and I literally just an interview, and I called it Smart Grandparenting Lessons from Pop-Up. And I interviewed my
Wow.
grandfather before he passed, so I could learn from his beginning stages, the early days of his newspaper route.
Yeah.
The early days of him saving money. He came from nothing. He worked his butt off to
Yeah.
get where he is, and I learned all that, and then I just downloaded his brain into a program. And in fact, I'm going to release it. It's on a CD actually, but I'm going to MP3 it and put it into a podcast for people. And it was me at 20 some years old, I think, 19 years old, interviewing my grandfather, something
That's
like
awesome.
that. That would be more than that. But it was just a beautiful process. So I'm really thankful for that. And I think everybody can learn from that. It's about the Japanese concept of Kaizen, right? Just getting a little bit better every single day. Like just taking that time
Yep.
out of your time to read, to meditate, meditation is all good, but it was also like making sure that we're putting good input into our gardens. Our minds are beautiful gardens, and if we don't tend them, if we don't look at what's going in and protect ourselves from the weeds, from the animals, the insects and things that can go into our mind, then we can really hurt our garden. So that taught me early on how important it is what we do and how we think.
That's so awesome, dude. And I totally agree. I mean, we do very similar, things as when it comes to that stuff. And I think that that's funny. You're drinking out of that cup. My buddy Jeffrey Gitomer actually wrote a book called "Get Shit Done."
Yeah, I've heard of it. I heard it. This is. I hope it's not too offensive to some people.
No, gosh, no. If they're offended, they can leave. I don't.
Right.
I don't give a shit about that. Like,
this was from that startup vitamins company where they just had the most like raunchy but like corporate or not corporate entrepreneurial posters.
I love that.
I have to get. I have the poster too.
I love it.
Great.
Unwoke.
Right.
So with your journey, because we backed up, but you were in Fresno. You went to Fresno State. You became a loser college dropout.
Yep. After I won the business plan writing contest.
Oh, no kidding.
I did. I got the gold medal. I literally have the gold medal right over here.
Dude, hold on. Is it snowing?
Yeah.
Behind?
Isn't that beautiful? This is not an effect. It's literally snowing. Yeah.
He's in downtown Salt Lake City, and it's freaking snowing. Ooh.
I mean, we just had beautiful sunny days, and all of a sudden, this is like one of those last big storms.
I know, it's crazy.
Probably going to be snowboarding tomorrow because
why not? Right. That's awesome.
That's a nice little effect right there.
I've got a lot of friends in Salt Lake. So you drop out of college. Where did things go from there? Here you are, and look, here's the bottom line. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to make it working for somebody else, probably. And you're probably anti-establishment. You're probably anti-college. You're probably anti all the things that entrepreneur. We're bred differently. We're just different, and it's not a bad thing.
It's not, and I would say at that time, becoming an entrepreneur, young entrepreneur, there wasn't a lot of support back then. There was one magazine I remember. Oh man, what was the name of it? It was just Into Biz or something. It was like something for young entrepreneurs. It was so different. It wasn't quite all the way accepted, especially from my family, who was all like, "No, you're going to finish college."
Right.
So what I was doing was like going from, won the business plan writing contest. I'd already had a business. I was in technology. I had Impact Tech Computers. So I was running computer business while I was in high school and then also into college, building computer systems from scratch, going and training people, teaching people, troubleshooting, all that. And I was making 70 to 80 bucks an hour plus whatever I'd sell in the parts in that. So I expanded that. I kept going down that route and keeping my studies up, but then it was a big but. It's like, but I really want to dive in deeper, and all this time is going over here. So I basically decided to say, hey, I'm going to expand more into not just hardware like Michael Dell. I wanted to be the next Michael Dell kind of thing. I went into software. I went into web design, and that kind of the web world as that was starting to become a thing before e-commerce was really a thing. It was like people need websites, and there was a huge upsurge in web studios. So I went and moved into I learned coding, and I taught myself coding, C++, Visual Basic, all that, HTML. But then I had this realization, as much as I love coding computers and technology, I love the people aspect of business more than I do being behind a computer screen. So what it allowed me to do is understand the technical side, but then also be able to communicate to people in human speak, not nerd speak, to bridge the gap. And so that's what I got really good at was sales, yes, marketing myself, but also just relaying and helping companies communicate what they really need to the techies. And then, that's when I started realizing, okay, I'm more like an in-between type person here than the actual computer guy. If that makes sense.
Dude, we have so much in common. You don't even know this. I built my first website in 1994. I own a web development company and marketing company. That's crazy. I've been doing it for over 30 years. It's crazy. So we have a lot in common. Was this all in Fresno? By the way, were you still in Fresno?
Yep, this is still in Fresno. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't move till I was 21. to Long Beach.
Okay, Long Beach, Cal. Okay, that's a pretty good distance from Fresno, I think. Right,
No, it's like no,
8, 9 hours.
no, from
Oh,
Fresno, it was like because it was Fresno Central Valley, so going down south, it was like what three
oh,
hour drive.
oh.
You go through
Okay,
Bakersfield and head down there,
okay,
maybe
okay.
4 hours depending. Yeah,
Why am
it's
I
a 3 day
thinking?
course.
I thought Fresno was way further up than that
No, right
for
in the
some
middle,
reason.
like right where California, the elbow,
Oh,
Fresno
okay,
Central Valley.
okay, okay, okay.
So it wasn't too far.
So you move. Why did you move to Long Beach? I mean, other than it's beautiful and you're 21 and
21, let's see. Dating was interesting when I was in Fresno. There wasn't much going on. And I also didn't really relate with women my age. So I tended to date up. But then my friends, like Corey, some of my best friends, we all played volleyball and soccer together. They, some got scholarships to Long Beach, California. Long Beach, like the volleyball program. And so I went down there one time to visit them and I was like, oh, I really like this.
mm,
I can move the business down here. I can move the web design stuff down here. And so in that process, like going down, there's like beautiful women, beautiful beach. I'm like, okay, I can get out of
yeah,
Fresno for sure. And
yeah,
I needed that new challenge. As I got down there, what interestingly happened was, as you put yourself in new environments, new situations, new people, those ideas get sparked. And I got to Long Beach and I was looking around because like I wasn't in college. They were connected to the whole college world. I wasn't. I got to party with them, hang out with them, do all that, but I'm like running business during the day and then
right.
hanging out with them the night and we're all roommates. And so I was like, well, where to go? Where do I find what to go do? So all I saw was newspapers. I was like, there's no magazine here. And so boom, new idea. I'm just going to start Long Beach Magazine. So
Mm,
I did. I
wow.
figured by this time I'd also published my first book, or a couple of books. When I was even younger, my grandfather and I wrote a couple books together, and then I wrote a book based on the Matrix movies as
Wow.
well. So I had published books, self-published. I learned from Dan Poynter the early days. Like I learned how
Yeah.
you don't have to go to the big book companies. You can go self-publish at that time. And so I had learned to do that. And I thought, well, if I did a book, how hard's a magazine? Same kind of thing. Binding
Yep.
paper, boom, let's just do it. It's just bigger paper. So I
Yep.
started Long Beach Magazine officially. And that's where I then switched from, yeah, I kind of had the web stuff going a little bit, but then built Long Beach Magazine because of the need and necessity, and just because like it's a beautiful city that was on the rise. A lot of things were going on there. It had been hurt badly in the real estate market once during World War II when they shut down there was a huge beach, beautiful, great surf. Then they put
Yeah.
in the breakwater for the war
Mm,
to have a lot of ships hanging there for the ports, all that stuff. So it stopped the breakwater. So you don't have big waves there because they have the massive port. And with that being done, then it just kind of crashed because Long Beach was like the new port. It was like a really, really
yeah.
high area, but it was back on the rise. So my magazine gave it a polished look. So we kind of upgraded from the newspapers to that Long Beach Magazine. It was a beautiful, full color, glossy magazine, and we had
Wow.
over millions of readers in that area. It was the number one like publication there for a while, and it was so fun because I was young, I was in my 20s. I became like the unofficial mayor of Long Beach, and just got to just be me. That's where the people aspect came in. It's like I love
Wow.
meeting all the people, having them become advertisers, throwing parties, doing advertiser special events, and really helping businesses thrive. So that was a lot of fun. And then bringing the web design part into that, making sure that people could read it online and have a digital subscription and stuff like that. So it was cool how all my technology skills then transitioned into the next business.
That is pretty cool. So you were still young, right? Like mid-20s maybe?
So I started Long Beach Magazine when I was 22. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Within pretty quickly
Wow.
after I moved to Long Beach, I was like, this is a great opportunity. Nobody's doing a magazine here. There hadn't been a magazine there since 1980, I think 7, and
Wow.
just nobody had done it. So I did it
Wow, that's incredible, dude. So, and how long did you do that?
till I was 26. So 5 years, 5 or 6 years, 26,
Wow.
27, around there. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We
Okay, what happened? Did you sell it? Did the magazine industry kind of take a dive? I mean, it's kind of taking a dive now, but
This was one of
Um,
those experiences that was one of the best of my life and one of the hardest and biggest lessons as an entrepreneur.
mm,
At some point, I don't want mention any names, but I had investors that came in I mean, it was business was good, and at the same time, it was also hard. The publishing business, paper prices going up, it was a little more difficult, and it wasn't quite to where we could replace it with digital viewers. Just wasn't at that point.
right.
And Long Beach sometimes was like Belmont Shore areas had high rent, and some of the really nice establishments just didn't last very long. So I'd lose advertisers. So there was a struggle to a point where then a family that loved the magazine invested in me, brought in another CEO, took it to a whole nother level, which I was so appreciative of. And I never received capital before. Didn't I kind of gave away too
Yeah.
much control and all of that. And I had some of the biggest lessons, man. I got to a point where I was probably the unhealthiest in my life because I was working my ass off, not taking care of myself, no self care practice. I remember reading the 4 Hour Work Week. This is when Tim Ferriss's book came out, and I was like, man, I am not happy. And I was not in the right position within the company. I got kind of moved over with the larger company, and it did not go well. We were supposed to sell it. I was supposed to sell it all the way, but I ended up getting kicked out of my own company. I ended up really getting booted out by my investors and all that. And looking back, there are things that I could have done better, would have done different, all that. But there's no such thing as real failure. It's just a spectrum of success. It was like a lot of learnings, and it was a hard time for me to have that kind of experience. And having been like so popular around the city, having helped so many other companies and all that, for me to go from that, I was AJ the magazine guy, and that ended up kind of crashing and burning for me. But like we get to have these dips that really mold us. Then I got healthy. Then I was like, you know what? I've been in Long Beach for a while. It was another opportunity for me to then step up and go to a new location. And then one of my dear friends, Jason Dorsey, who's one of the best speakers I know, incredible guy. We had been friends since he was 18, so I was like 16 or 15. He said, "Bro, you got to come to Austin, Texas. You're gonna love Austin. There's beautiful women. There's this the river right next to the city." He was sending me pictures all the time, and it was just so much of my soul was like, yeah, I need to get out of here. I need to leave Long Beach. My time has been here. I did my thing. I was able to connect with a lot of great people. So, and I'm glossing over a lot of the lessons because there's some stories there that just really broke me down in a lot of ways. But then, that's how we break through, is to break down first.
It's true.
So
1000% true. Hitting some sort of a bottom, like, and I think also, because I was doing millions in my mid 20s, and I mean, I thought I was Elvis for a while, the way I partied, and of course, lost everything, and eventually, and it creates a tremendous amount of humility, I think, just and gratitude. And what it also creates, though, Aaron, I think, is it creates fortitude, because you realize that once you've had it all, then you lose it all and you rebuild it all again. Like, it's like, oh, that's I'm not afraid of risk. I have
yeah,
Yeah. So, and I'm sure you can
fortitude.
relate to that.
That's a great word. I'm glad you said that. I got my head was talking resilience, but fortitude as well, because like you're literally building yourself. It's like it's all energy and it's all doable again once you've done it that far. It's
Yeah.
like pushing that edge, and then you've pushed that edge before. Meaning,
Yeah.
just like when they say, like it's like riding a bicycle. You pick it up again if you haven't done it for a long time. It's the same sort of a thing, and in that it builds character, and it
Yeah.
also requires. And I'll just speak from the masculine side, it builds a new code of ethics and a new code of honor and a new core value set. I think that's what's important is whenever we have a big change in life, change in job, change in relationship, deaths in family, stuff like that, it causes a time for us to really reflect, go inward, deeper, and then to look at our core set of values. What is important to us about X, like spirituality, finance, business, family, relationships, all those things. And I
Right.
think those are those kind of times to that as we get a little bit into the external world too much, it's kind of like our inner self, our higher self calling us in, hey, go inside, let's reset, let's rebuild, and you get to level up in that way. And so it can be painful. Entrepreneurs definitely have a higher threshold of pain, emotional, mental, physical, all of that than most
Yeah.
people. And one of my favorites, Ted Nicholas said it really well. And this is at a seminar. Ted, do you remember Ted Nicholas, the direct response guy?
No, I don't, I'm not. I don't even think I've heard of him.
Ted Nicholas
It's
was
terrible.
he started the company corporation, that creates the Delaware companies and all that. Incredible guy.
Okay.
We went to his Millionaire Maker seminar. I was 16 years old. I was the youngest. My grandfather, Pop Up, was the oldest. And he just said, entrepreneurs are the unsung heroes of the world.
Yeah,
And I love that. I've always remembered
it's
that.
true.
Like the unsung heroes of the world, they make stuff happen. They get it done. They go create. They go make it manifest in this world. And I
Yeah.
think that's such a really cool aspect of the journey.
I recently was listening to somebody complain about having worked overtime and put in 50 hours, and I thought I can remember having a part-time job like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what? 50
Yeah.
hours.
Look at me.
Like that's I do that in 2 days almost, you know. It's like so and that's the part about being an entrepreneur. I think that, you know, there's a lot of people out there,
Yeah.
um, a lot of fake stuff out there on Instagram and social media,
Oh boy.
you know, where you can go spend 5 grand and rent a jet that will never leave the hangar, but you can rent the jet to go in and take pictures for an hour.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, dude, and people do it. It's crazy. Like, you know, I have friends that actually have jets, you know, so,
Yeah.
but I don't have one yet, but I think I will someday. But, you know, look, I think that, you know, everything you're talking about, so you ended up in Austin.
Mhm.
What did you do in Austin?
Yeah.
Because you
Well,
moved from, you left Long Beach, right? After the multiple pictures from your buddy and all that.
yep. Yep. So went to Austin, Texas, and I
Yeah.
met a good buddy of mine, Josh, and we
Yeah.
started a golf company, a supplement company. So went right into like building supplements for golfers, marketing and using that. And we ended up selling
Wow.
it to somebody. Being a part of learning so much from him, direct response marketing, building a team, the power of copy and sales copy, and the importance of like split testing and optimization and tracking
Yeah.
your data and looking at every single bit you can do to convert things. And this is all on the web, right? We're selling over the internet. Did a
Yeah.
little bit of like in-person stuff at the golf courses in Austin, but I had another new level up from another mentor and friend in my life. And so again, taking technology and web and then building that into a e-commerce brand. So I did that. And then after that, after having learned the ability to build funnels and look at the marketing branding I had the image-based marketing background from the magazine, then direct response, and adding those two together to help. I then started my own agency. So I started Yager Media Group, which was helping build out funnels and take gurus like authors, speakers, that kind of thing, and helping them take their ideas and create products out of them, but also build the full funnel that would receive the traffic and get conversions from opt-ins to buying the
Yeah.
whatever price, right? The whole funnel thing.
Yeah.
And I got really good at it from learning with Josh and taking all my other marketing skills. So I built an agency and then worked with some incredible people. Worked with Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, worked with Jamie Wheel, worked with some incredible authors and speakers and learned so much from them in the process. But then helping other people make money with their products. And so I loved that idea of it's all self-development stuff. My grandfather,
Yep.
introduced me to earlier. It's like, okay, well, how do we think about this in a way and how do we deliver it? Because you can take a book, you can read a book, or you can take the same content in the book, put it into a video course and sell it for 10x and have it be something that really converts for people. So this is early days of courses and live events and things like that. So I built Yager Media Group then for the next number of years, then met who became my wife at that time. And that she started working with me. She was great with data, great with numbers, great with finance, brilliant CEO mind. And she added a level of detail for me that I just wasn't. I'm the entrepreneur, the visionary, pulling this stuff together. 90% is good enough. Let's go. Let's go. She helped bring amazing structure and amazing detailed thinking that I did not have. And frankly helped me so much more with money. I was so much better with money with her. She was incredible with numbers and saw patterns I just didn't. And so we then not only fell in love, but we also then built a different business, kind of spun it out. So we noticed that we could be making people money. And even if we hit our numbers, they were like, yeah, we really wanted to make more. It's like, but we hit our numbers, and it kind of got to a point where it's like, well, we're not really making people happy. We're just making them more money. Yeah, we're making money as well. We're doing well, but it's like, okay, what else can we do? Well, what we did differently was we were data-driven marketers. So we were tracking everything, and we could tell them more about their business than they could even tell about their business. And so once we showed them how we were doing all this data, they're like, well, can you do that for my shipping? Can you do that for my my finances here? Can you show me these better dashboards? And that birthed a new business. So we spun the profits from the Yager Media Group into Praxis Data Group, which is called Praxis Metrics. And we built a data, basically a bolt-on to e-commerce and digital product companies, collecting all their data, making sure we get the data correct, and then building it into dashboards so that the entrepreneurs can make better decisions. So their marketing team can make better decisions. So it completely went into marketing agency to data agency. In the early days when big data was really expensive, we went with a platform called Domo. We went for the top. We went enterprise level software, but then making it more available for small and medium-sized businesses. And so she and I built that for a number of years, for 7-8 years after that in Austin.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there for 11 years.
So you're in Salt Lake City now.
Mm-hmm.
So where did things go?
It was it's amazing how the universe kind of does things. So we were literally traveling, speaking on data stuff in Florida. March, I remember, because my birthday is March 16th, 15th, 2020 was when COVID was hitting, right? Everything's shut down. So we were traveling and we only had 2 suitcases with us. So we're like, dude, we need to get home. Let's get back. We don't want to get stuck here.
Yeah.
And so we flew back really quickly, but instead of, that's right. We flew to Utah. So my former partner was from Utah. And she's like, look, if there's zombies coming and stuff like that, we want to be in the mountains and be able to see them coming. And the Mormons are great preppers. It's a safer place for us to be. So we went there with her family and everything. And then that's where Utah kind of got put on the map. She never thought she'd go back there. I never thought of Utah, although I passed through it and it was beautiful. We were there for that whole summer. And then ended up building a house up on the mountain because they're like, this place is beautiful. We love the people here. And there happened to be people there that I knew for 16 years in a community. Yeah. So from the marketing days. So it was this perfect world of things that happened. And then during COVID, there was a whole Black Lives Matter. And then there was riots and stuff. Literally the day we were leaving, there were cars on fire and stuff down the street in Austin. Wow. There were in other cities. It was kind of one of those things from the universe. Yep, this is the sign that you're doing the right thing. So we ended up building the house.
You didn't. I guarantee you didn't see that in Salt Lake City.
No. Nope. No, we got here and it was nice. We were in Orem, actually. We were in Happy Valley. So we didn't have the house yet. We just said we're moving. We got some friends to stay with and going to do that. So we spent most of COVID or all COVID here.
And it's absolutely an amazing. Tyler, stop that, dude. He's a friend of mine. They don't do that anymore, Tyler. So, and I have a lot of friends in the LDS church, actually, a lot of friends. They're really, honestly, they're really, really good people. You live amongst a lot of them. I mean, it's 90% of the population, I think, or something. It's way up there.
It's not now. It's changed after COVID. There's a lot of non-Mormons coming in, a lot of ex-Mormons too.
Yeah, I've heard that. So you ended up you ended up in Utah.
Yeah.
And did you take the company with you? Is that?
Oh yeah, it was all remote. We always built it.
Okay.
So that one thing we did is we traveled to 39 countries. We built the
Wow.
business remote specifically because we like wanted to adventure, wanted to travel. That
Yeah.
was a big part of it, to build everything remote. Now we did
Yeah.
end up having some satellite offices like at WeWorks and things like that. We had a lot of people grouping up in Lehigh, Utah, which is right near Domo, which is an American
Yeah.
Fort, because of like data. There's a lot of data engineers here. So
Yeah.
Utah just kept being put on the map mainly because of the platform we chose to work with and all that. So it was already on the
Yeah.
map, but like it just turned out to be a smart place to go. So we brought the business with us, continued to build it here, continued to grow it here, and grow in community here. And it was we weren't living in Salt Lake. We were actually up in Eden, beautiful spot near Powder Mountain, which I think you told me you've been to. Didn't we talk about
Oh
this before?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been that. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's my favorite place to ski and snowboard. Beautiful, beautiful mountain. They don't create the snow there. It's all just like fluffy, beautiful Utah snow. So we're very,
Yeah.
very lucky to live up there. And it's a very, very separate from Salt Lake, right? It's about a 50-minute drive from Salt Lake, but so worth it and so beautiful.
Yeah, like I said, my buddy Doug Wing, his father's the founder and creator of Little Giant Ladders, and they're in, I don't know, Springville maybe. My
Yep.
wife's on here. She'll tell me because we went out
Yeah.
there. We own a publishing company, and so we helped him with his first book, and so we went out there and did a big book event at the Springville Public Library. It was really really cool. So
Oh,
nice, so
yeah.
beautiful,
It is
so
really
beautiful.
beautiful. We're very, very blessed.
Yeah. Before we moved to Dallas, we actually considered moving to Salt Lake. Well,
Hmm.
not Salt Lake, but that area.
This
Yeah.
area, yeah.
Yeah. It's so
It's
beautiful.
becoming. I mean, now we've got the Olympics coming here in 9 years too. So there's going to be a lot of amazing developments.
Yeah.
It's just the city's getting even cooler. And I love. I have a big place in my heart for Austin. I love Austin, and
Yeah.
this is just the new chapter, right? New
Yeah.
part, new
Yeah.
chapter. A lot of great
Yeah.
opportunity here.
Yeah. So do you still have the data company?
No, no. In fact,
Oh,
this is where about 3 years ago, I had a what do you call it? Springville, nice, yeah.
yeah.
Um, I had a change of heart in a big way. Although we were successful at what we were doing, it was a lot of hard work. The agency kind of model can be really tough, and
Yeah.
partner being an incredible CEO and very very good at that. We built a team of 34, almost maybe closer to 40,
Yeah.
and then in COVID they were running it and all that, and we kept all of our employees. We kept all of our team members. We didn't let anybody go. We're just like we're gonna hammer through this, and e-commerce should go up, and it didn't quite go up right in the beginning, and people just did not want to pay. I mean, we were not a cheap service. It was a
Yeah.
monthly plus data plus hourly services, like a data as a service company.
Right. Right.
And unfortunately, our team, somehow we lost like $600,000, $700,000.
Ouch.
This is our fault. The company, the team was running the company, and we really trusted that. And we had a lot of damage control to do, and we had a lot of money going out and not as much coming in. People were not wanting to pay their bills. It's like there's a lot of fear, right? It's a time of fear, and yeah, there's a lot of lessons in and of that. But that's not really where I'm going to go with this. But like we had built it to a certain point, then we scaled it back down to be more boutique, less employees, more leverage. But I was not happy, man. And I wasn't showing up great. I wasn't showing up great for my partner. I wasn't showing up great for my clients. I wasn't showing up great in my role. It was a hard time for me because something was not right. Data was her thing more. I love data. I love learning how to make decisions from data and go do that, and combining data with your inner intuition, which
Right.
created an even stronger way, right? Not just on the data, but like, how are you feeling about this? What is the self-knowing decision to go make here? And I've learned a lot from that. And I was just being called to one thing I didn't mention is off on in between companies, I was always coaching. So I got I got NLP trained, my first NLP certification when I was 18, my first hypnotherapy certification when I was 19, my coaching certificate around that same time. So I've always been a coach and somebody
Yeah.
who's great at holding space and for people. So in between businesses, I would always have a coaching practice.
Right.
And I just got called to, and a good mentor of mine, one of my best friends, and amazing hypnotherapist, Elliot Rowe. He re-inspired me. He's like, dude, you're not happy in your company. Just get freaking out, man. Just go be a coach. go get into hypnotherapy again, get a new certification. Let's like reignite this. And he re-inspired me. He was a big piece of this. And luckily my partner in the company, she took things over. She did a great job of like, we kind of transitioned where I would kind of part-time, move out of that. And I was really supported by all people to go step into my dharma, to be like, okay, why have I been why was I thinking I couldn't just go do this as my thing? And
Right.
part of it was an unworthiness
Yeah.
thread of programming that, oh, I need to go make a bunch of money first and be this jet flying, like be this awesome, successful entrepreneur. And then I can really, really coach people. It's like,
Right.
where did that story come from? Well, that was
Yeah.
my own story. That was my own disbelief in self,
Yeah.
my untrusting of self. Some of the stuff that I'd gone through in the Long Beach magazine hurt me, and I hadn't healed that yet. And so as a coach, then it was like, okay, I'm going to do even deeper work, because I'd always done the work, but I was like, I'm going to go on a very, very different frame in my masculine to step into a better version of myself, not just an entrepreneur, but just as how I show up. And so it became a journey of self-discovery, but as well as like reopening my practice. And this is over 3 years ago now. And it made me the happiest I could be. I was showing up on calls. And some people couldn't believe it. Like, I'd be on calls and people would be weeping and crying, which to me is good. That's like, I'm excited. And I get off
Yeah.
of 5 or 6 hours of calls and like have so much energy, where other people are like, they would be freaking drained if they did that. But for me, that human connection, that container of
Yeah.
love, joy, and even trauma, like I love getting in the trenches with people and saying, let's do this. We got this. Like Band of Brothers, like I'm in the foxhole with you. We're going to go shine the light on the shadows, and we're going to love the shadow work. And we're going to get in here and we're going to unwind and reprogram the unconscious mind, which is stuff I learned about when I was younger, but didn't really, I did it in my coaching, but I got really, really deep into it the last like 4 to 6 years, and learning
Right.
more about the unconscious mind and how we can use tools like hypnotherapy, like deep breath work, like unique experiences, and getting people off of these things and getting more into nature,
Yeah.
and getting back in touch with our primal selves. And that's also when like I started really studying more ancient wisdom. And man, this, there's so much. You can buy bestsellers. People can put out content to like to be there, get a book out there to be the best business card they can have, and it build their funnel, and a lot of marketing stuff. But it's
Yeah.
really difficult sometimes to find the authentic, genuine messages. And there's been a lot of stuff recasted over the years. So I thought, well, how do we go back to the basics? Let's go back to the primal ways. Let's go back to some of the lessons and the ancient things that are timeless, and let's go reconnect with those in a deep way. And that's where like I wanted to combine group and individual coaching with unique breath work, hypnotherapy, and extremely epic experiences to go do the deep work, which can be hard and angry and crying and weeping and tough, but then wrap it in a barrier of fun, of
There's
playfulness.
there's a great question from Tyler.
How much does your program involve cognitive behavioral therapy? Oh, I think a lot. Like, that's a great question. My background comes from deeper in thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that. It's woven into everything I do, I think. And I come from a place of helping people feel safe first, right? No matter where they're at right now. Because I do work with a lot of high performers. Like as a coach, I'm a high performance and a hypnotherapist. So,
Yeah.
and really customized to my one-on-one clients as opposed to like the group coaching stuff. We're doing more themed based stuff. But I'm very, very specific in helping people rewire their cognitive behavior, how they're mapped. But we're going back to the basics. We're using emotions to tap into the memories to really help get us to the root cause of what was going on for them. And as we get to the root cause, there's a lot of different modalities that I use and different things I've been trained in. So it's not just one thing. It's like based on the person and based on how they're showing up and what their experience is, how do we navigate their brain and their emotional association or disassociation, and then rewire that. So that's what I got really good at. And I just call it rewiring because we literally can rewire anything in our life. And especially as entrepreneurs, there's a business is a relationship, and the relationships are the greatest mirror that we get faced. So that's why when stuff's going wrong in the business, it's not the business or the employees. It's generally what's going on in our inner world. How are we cognitively thinking and behaving? Or what are those automatic things from our childhood? Is the inner
Yep.
child here sitting as the CEO? Sometimes. The
Most of
tactile
the
thing, right?
time.
Yeah,
Most of
yeah.
the time, right?
Bunch of
I
CEOs
mean,
running around that are little kids in suits. Yeah,
yeah, it's true. And I've said that. And again, I've studied this stuff with Tony Robbins
yeah,
and Deepak Chopra and Dr. Wayne Dyer, some of the absolute greats. And
yeah.
I had yesterday, I had a guest on that. The guy is phenomenal, and they've developed a patented technology using sound
Mhm.
that you can't even hear, just sound waves that they literally help rewire the neural pathways in the brain. And Tony Robbins is a partner in it, and with this guy that was on my show yesterday. And it's phenomenal technology, and I use it now. And so I see all of these things that I and this is to open up a little bit of conversation about this with you, but with AI, everybody's not everybody. There's a lot of people that are like, AI is going to take over. I don't know. I don't think that it's going to get that extreme. I think AI is doing a lot of great things for us too. And one of the things that it's doing is helping develop new neuro pathway technology, I guess, to helping us reprogram exactly what you're saying. I say that all the time. Like, it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm sure you've
Oh
studied
yeah.
Dr. Joe. He talks about that we're walking around telling ourselves the same stories over and over and over every single day. It's the same thoughts we're having, and people don't ever stop and interrupt that
Until the pain gets too much.
until the
And that's
pain
just
gets
it. We
too
don't
much.
have to go that way, though. That's some people's approach.
Yeah.
It's 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And the
Yep.
majority of those are the same freaking thoughts over and over
As
again. The
yesterday.
automaticity is
Yeah.
there. And so
Yeah.
until there's pain or until there's things like large milestones of events, breakups, deaths, things like that
Yeah.
that rupture you,
Yeah.
that's why becoming more conscious of your language patterns and more conscious of why did I do that thing? Why did I do it that way? And that's why coaches that outside of us, that's why these tools like sound, like AI, like all these things kind of put together. There's no one pill that does it.
Right.
It's about being able to be more conscious in our lives and more aware with that what is going on the inside, or the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside. And that our
Yep.
thoughts are powerful things. And that we've got to really, really watch that. I've got something I call the recoding journal, teaching people how to catch their ants, automatic negative thoughts, ants as they come up, any time of behavior, any kind of thing they say out loud or to it in their head. It's just sometimes you don't catch it on the first or the second one, but the third time you catch yourself doing it, so wait. Let's get that down. Let me write that down. And whatever that negative thought was, what are then the emotions that were coming with that? Was it sadness? Was it rage? Was it, unworthiness? And like just capturing it, crossing it out, and then rewriting, well, what's the antithesis of that? What do I want instead? So right now in this present moment, which is where everything is created, there's only the now, that power of the now, then, well, let me just rewrite that. And then what positive emotions do I want to implant and recode with that new coding, that new
Right.
rewired statement? And then going in and breathing, taking a moment, and then jumping into the future state of you, enjoying that thought, that statement, that emotion in real time, to be able to craft that for yourself and in a point in time and putting it in your timeline ahead of time. So we have these abilities to do it. And you think, okay, that's just one thought out of maybe 60,000 thoughts. But the cool thing is the more you do that and catch yourself and write it down and do this little process, which takes less than 5 minutes, you start to rewire certain thoughts, and that catapults and like compounds into way more thoughts. So the 60,000 thoughts can be like overwhelming to people, but it just starts with one or two or three catching every single day and rewiring them in the live conscious state. And then working like with somebody with like myself or another coach to help rewire the rest of the stuff that you don't consciously think about, like all the unconscious stuff. And you mix that with cool technologies like you're talking about,
Yeah.
Solfeggio sounds, binaural beats, deep breath work mixed with hypnotherapy and NLP. And that's what I'm doing, a lot of 9D breath work with people
Yeah.
combined with my hypnotherapy and integration. There's the big what am I saying? Psych drugs.
Oh,
Psychedelics.
pharmaceuticals.
Sorry, psychedelics.
All
Sorry. So there's a
psychedelics. Yeah.
psychedelic
Yeah.
revolution going on now, which is also
Yeah.
helping people in many ways, but also like without the integration, you're just bringing stuff up to the surface, just like breathwork does.
Yeah.
And without the integration or the ability to learn how to recode that, process it, heal it, it can just be, a very difficult process of bringing all that stuff up again. So
Yeah, yeah.
thanks, Mark, for
There's a lot of I think, and you've heard this. I've heard it. I don't know who originated it, but people spend more time planning their vacations than they do planning their mind or
yeah,
their life, and I think that um, when like it's possible, completely possible to interrupt the unconscious mind, which is controlling 98% of everything we do. Like
yeah,
it's like your life is on autopilot and people don't put any thought into that. Like how many times has your heart beat in the last 10 minutes? How many blinks have you done? How many breaths have you taken? How like it's all happening on autopilot,
pilot.
and so's the rest of your life. And so I love what you're talking about. I love what you're doing, man. It's so crucially important to help people. I mean, I do it. I help people in the same way. It's so crazy how similar our stories are, but I help a lot of, I found myself coaching a
Yeah,
lot of people before I finally started charging to coach people. So
yeah,
like, I mean, but that's the thing is there are so many people that don't really put any conscious thought into why their life sucks, why it's so bad, why everything's always going wrong, until they get into enough pain. And you're 1,000% right. In fact, my favorite quote is pain is the predecessor of all
yeah.
wisdom.
Yep. Oh
It's my
man.
favorite.
Yep.
It's my favorite.
And it doesn't have to be that painful. Life doesn't have to be so damn hard. It's about the opportunity to acknowledge and accept and understand like deeper. We aren't taught this stuff in school, man. We get this brain and a heart and emotions, and there's no talk about that. There's just the school's teaching you what to think, not how to think. And that's what my grandfather
Right.
did for me, right? My grandfather exposed me to all this stuff is like, oh, wait, 18-year learning about neurolinguistic programming, which is basically what,
It's
Tony
crazy.
Robbins learned early on. He called it neuroassociative conditioning. Whole
Yeah.
background is in LP, and he's taken it way further than that in many
Yeah.
ways. But like this kind of technology of the mind, we're not getting given it an instruction manual for our DNA, our brain, our thoughts, our emotions. And so the moment that's what was fascinating learning this, and we're all in this together, right? Where you and I helping one person is helping ourselves and others. So
Yeah.
whether you call yourself a coach, facilitator, whatever, it's about realizing the inner world. The work is inside, and it can be scary. I think the biggest thing is people don't like feeling bad. And what they don't understand is that all emotions, joy, love, sadness, rage, anger, all of them, positive or negative, you want to label them, they are all gifts. Everybody needs to learn, like, remember
Yep.
this. They are all gifts. Anger and rage, all these things, they're not who you are. They're just data points that are messages from the body, from the unconscious mind, that there's a message here to lean into and to go inside with, not to
Yep.
avoid, not to shove under the rug, not to, oh, I'm just going to do work and do this later. No, those emotions are coming up for a reason. And the more we just keep like pushing them away, that creates dis-ease in our body and creates
Yep.
disconnection in our body. And so that's why we've got a lot of people on the Instagrams just drinking coffee, going from delta when they're sleeping to getting up, coffee, caffeinating, go right up to beta, and they're missing theta and alpha, these beautiful spots. Or they maybe
Yeah.
go do some 15 minutes of meditation and all that, and then get right
Yeah.
back to it. It's like, okay, well, I did my meditation today. I'm good. It's like there's a very different slow down, and we have the opportunity to be more conscious about every single thought, word, and action that we take. And
Yeah.
it does take a little bit of work. There's a little unwinding of how we do things so that we're not going based on our programs. So most people are walking around, like you said, on autopilot. But
Yep.
unless it's a big change in life, or they start to become more aware and willing to like do a little bit of the leaning into the hard stuff, it doesn't really change. So we're here to
It
wake them up.
doesn't. So talk about this. I'm going to pop it up on screen. Talk
Yeah.
about awakentheviking.com. I'm gonna have that scrolling across the bottom. But talk
Thanks.
about that, what that is, and why you created it.
Oh boy. Well, like I talked about ancient wisdom, I love the Vikings. I've always enjoyed like watching the Viking shows and all that. Yes, but like, there's always something that got me. I just loved the Vikings, and learning from them. So the more I dug into it, yeah, nice. Thanks, Tyler. The more I got into it, and like you, I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for masterminds over the last 10 years. Love
Yep.
them. They're great. And generally what was happening was I just noticed, man, it's kind of the same stuff again and again. We're in a hotel, we're doing those presentations, all that good connection, networking time. We'll go do an excursion here and there, go to travel to different places. But I had this download one day, and I was doing some meditation. I was like doing some oracle cards. I was doing some just real sightseeing, and I had this download. I'm a manifester in human design, and man, when I get a vision, it just hits me hard, and I got to record it. And so I just wanted to flip the script of that. It's like, what if we're outside most of the time, getting a digital detox in a beautiful place, and I'm getting rid of the word mastermind. We created an adventure for entrepreneurs, for leaders, for investors, for people that are like at a very high level. And let's go back to the primal ways and bring in my favorite things: Vikings, adventure, travel, spirituality, and self-development. Like, let's do that while wrapping it all in a container of fun, which is my thing. And so one of my favorite places in the world is Norway. I have tattoos. I don't know if you can see. The camera's not working there, but I have runes tattooed on my
Yeah,
body that I've
I
learned
see
from.
it.
And so I created the Awaken the Viking. I had this idea of like, well, what if we just took people and just did something really wild? How about we go to the shores of Norway in the fjords, and we go connect with the ancient wisdom really? And we get off the phones and we go row a Viking ship together. We go shoot bow and arrows. We learn how to shield wall. We learn how to fight and defend ourselves from an axe. We learn how to cook like the Vikings did. We go live like Vikings. We dress like them. But we also do hot seat coaching. We go on incredible excursions. We go wake up in the morning and go cold plunge in the fjord, and then get in a beautiful sauna looking at the gorgeous place. So how do we bond? And I call it's a Viking initiation. Awakentheviking.com is the website, but it's really this initiation. And what I believe that we've lost in so many ways are the rites of passages. The boys becoming men, the girls becoming women. We don't have the elders, the villages, the challenges that take us from boyhood to manhood and girlhood to womanhood and like those things. So with initiation, by going into Norway, by looking in not the Viking TV stuff, not the Hollywood version, but the real true, mythos and the learning about the gods, learning about the runes, these sacred symbols, and like learning how they had a beautiful balance of masculine and feminine. They would let women were fighters alongside the men. The women ran the farmsteads, the money. They ran things, not because they were subservient, but because they wanted to. It was their gift to share in their blessings. And the men, and they weren't just these raping, pillaging barbarians that everybody thinks of. They were very loved to keep themselves in silk and gold and keep themselves nice looking. Yes, they would dress up in furs and all that as well, but like the Vikings, where they're portrayed out there, there's a lot more to it. So when we take the time to get past the myths and really dig into this, there's the unique initiations that I believe that we can all step into, which is shedding the old self and then stepping into a new version of ourselves. But we got to let go of the tethers, the strings, the things that are holding us back first. Do the unconscious work, the undoing, the deeper work there emotionally and in our mind and our unconscious. And as we lighten the load and we're not taking all this baggage with us, this, by the way, a lot of the stuff is not even ours. It's from our parents, it's from our grandparents, it's from programming, all this other stuff. Then we have the opportunity to step in and say, well, who am I now? Who do I desire to create? What does that desire look like? And that's when it's easier to then craft your life. Like people were saying, they take more time to plan their vacation than do their life. Well, it helps making yourself get in touch with God, source, whatever you want to call it. And then taking the time isn't taking the time. It's like, oh no, I get to create now, and I get to play with the universe and all this magic I've already been given. And so that's what the event is about, is doing this in a fun container while also just having a ton of fun. And like, where else are you going to row a Viking ship with other entrepreneurs from all around the world? Where else are you going to get to learn about unique ways of having meditations that you can do and tying in runes, the power of this symbology into your logo, into your business, to power it from a level of things that we don't truly understand, but only the elders do. So that's what the magic was. That's what the adventure I created.
That is really cool, dude. That's really cool. Is it for men only or primarily?
Men and women. So there is going to be a separate men's one and a separate women's one in
Okay.
2026.
Okay.
That is for men and women. We actually do have a day, so it's 8 days and 8 nights in Gudvangen, in Norway, in these beautiful areas. But we have one day where we separate the men and the women, and we have completely separate women's circles, men's circles, all of that. We bring everybody back together later on, but we really honor that time, and and go through different exercises, of course. And then
Yeah.
the last time the women got to row the Viking ship by themselves, and then the men got to row the Viking ship by themselves, and we traded off doing that. It was a really cool way to build
Wow.
bonds and to have a unique experience. So yeah, it's like going back to the primal ways. It's in our DNA. It's all in here. So how do we unlock that in a unique way that's not in a hotel, that doesn't have fake lighting, where we're just outside getting dirty?
What if like Tyler, who I don't know, I hopefully he's still watching. What if he wanted to be there, but he identifies as a woman? I'm just
It's all welcome too.
I'm kidding.
I wonder if you
I'm
could respond to that one.
I love Tyler. He's really freaking awesome. So and I always
Of
mess
course,
with
all
him
welcome. Of
all
course.
the time. So he just said, he
It is.
just said he's laughing. He's by the way, Tyler's like 6'6". He's a big dude. So is there anything else you would like to share with the audience before we wrap this up? I appreciate you coming on today and sharing so much with everyone, man. This has been
Hey.
awesome. But is there anything you would like to share with everyone prior to us wrapping this up?
Well, first of all, thank you. Like this
Yeah.
is so fun. Having coffee, having a great conversation, and sharing this has been like this is my joy. So thank you for
Yeah.
helping me start my day
Oh
off even
gosh.
more
Yeah.
amazingly.
Thank
Like
you.
this is so great to share. Like, and you're so comforting, and you're so like you feel like home. You're like very like safe
Thank
space.
you.
You're just like very
Thank you.
easy to connect with, and like you and I have not even met in person. Like I'm
Yeah.
really excited to get to know you better, and thank you for the work you're
Thank you.
doing and how you've been
Yeah.
spreading this for so long. I think the one thing would be is you listeners right now, life doesn't have to be so hard. Slow down. And just as scary as it can be to look inside, to look in the shadows, to look at like the stuff that's painful, I promise on the other side of that, there is resolution. There is relief. There is a whole nother world and way of living that is more your authentic self. And I think that's what we're ultimately looking to get people to is compassion and forgiveness for self, right? Because a lot of this stuff is not so much about other people, but like forgiving yourself for mistakes, for screw ups, for failures, whatever that stuff is, like loving yourself more. Where love is, fear does not exist. Where love is, anxiety does not exist. So the more that you like literally take time to go inward, to go enjoy who you are on the inside, that is going to reflect in so many beautiful ways you can't even imagine right now. The source, the universe, everything is so much more powerful the more you lean into your higher self and who you really are in there and underneath this meat suit. It can just be business, everything can flourish so much more, and it's just a beautiful journey. So I'm honored to be on this journey with you, and just go and take some breaths today. Maybe after watching this, before you go on to the next task, just like put your hand on your heart, send yourself some love, send yourself some gratitude, send your head. I have one thing I have people do is go into their brain and send gratitude. Go in and be in the stillness of your heart and like connect with your heart. Go into your gut, another part of your brain, and then go to your soul. All four of these and create a line, a golden white line between these, and love them and send them so much gratitude because they're taking care of us without having to do much. And so the more that we connect with these different genius centers inside of us and getting ourselves aligned every day is going to help make life so much better. So I think that's what I
That's
wanted to say
awesome.
is to remind people.
Aaron, James Yager, thank you so much. I really genuinely appreciate the wisdom and truths that you brought to everyone today. So thank you very much for that. We have 1,644 people watching live right
Great.
now. So thank you to everyone who
Yeah, thank
shared
you.
this out. And make sure you go to awakentheviking.com and check out everything Aaron's got going on, and go figure out how to be the best version of yourself. Like
Thank you.
it's there.
Yeah,
It's
man.
there.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm
Yeah,
here. I answer all. I'm going live again today on Instagram, AJ Yager at AJ Yager. Like I love connecting and like I respond to all my DMs and all that. So
that's
again,
awesome,
Ken, thank you so much, man. I'm so glad that our
dude.
common friend Robert connected us. Shout out to
Yeah,
him for connecting us.
Robert Commodari.
Thanks, bro.
Got it.
Thanks for.
He's writing a chapter in our upcoming book. As a matter of fact, the network
Oh,
effect.
he is good. Good.
Right there he is. He's on the front cover. Yeah,
That's
Rob's a
awesome.
good dude.
Thank
Good
you,
dude.
Rob.
All
Ken,
right.
thanks.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate it. I'm going to wrap this up and end the show. But if you would hang out with me for a minute and we'll chat after I wrap this up. Everybody, make sure you go over to awakentheviking.com. Follow Aaron at AJ Yager on Instagram. And yeah, get to know what this guy's doing. And thank you to everybody who's been here, commented, and shared this out. If you haven't shared it out, there is time to redeem yourself. You can still go ahead and share this out. So thank you all so much, and we will see you later. Have a great day.